So of course, everything really starts to come together. Um, by the time we get to the 2008 2009 season, and the Lakers are really, like I said, like I said, at this point, like I said, at this point, the Lakers are the are back to being, the best in the West. Really really the like really let me slow down. Really like really is the top team in town. Really the most formidable team in the West, especially especially coming off a finals appearance where where they had the rematch with the Celtics for the first time at that point in 21 years. And so last time, leading up to that, last time the Lakers played against the Celtics, the Lakers had won, and that was when Magic vanquished his arch rival Larry Bird. So anytime it's the Lakers and Celtics, it's always war. They're always going out for blood. But um, unfortunately, the Celtics just had way too much firepower for that 2007 2000 that 2008 season because of the additions of Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen to go along with Paul Pierce and emerging Rajon Rondo. So the Celtics absolutely had a very dynamic nucleus at that point. And it's just that the Lakers were just outmatched. However, um, they would not, like I said. However, when it comes to Kobe, when it comes to the Lakers, they would not stay down. Even though they went down, even though they went down, um, they even though they went down, they would not stay down. And so, like I said, if so because of that, um, and because of that, the Lakers recovered, and not only did they recover, but this was absolutely a statement season in so many ways because because this was absolutely the ultimate bounce back from from not having Shaq. And so during the 2009 season, the Lakers had a record of 65-17, and that's actually a tie with the record that they had back in '87. Of 65-17, which happened to be Magic's MVP season at the time, as I mentioned before. But even though Kobe was not the league MVP that season, he still made the distinction of being the best player in the league, even though he didn't get the MVP award, but he got something that was more important. So like I said, the Lakers finished that season with a 65-17 record. You know what I mean? And so so of course, like I said, um, this was certainly a statement. Like I said, this was certainly a statement season for Kobe in so many ways. Because he was relentless when it came to scoring, delivering, like I said, delivering game winners. Leading the Lakers to an absolutely great record where they were just head and shoulders above everybody else. And the signature game for that season was a 61-point game in Madison Square Garden as one of the best. Is absolute a 61 point game against the Knicks at Madison Square Garden was still one of the greatest games of his career, along with the 81-point game. And so it was by far by far his best game of the entire regular season. And also he set a record um, in that arena as well. And of course he also established his place as the Western Conference Player of the Month, but both for December and January as well. And so and obviously because of how great his season was, he finished second place in MVP voting to LeBron James, obviously. And of course at that time, it almost seemed destined that the Lakers would either get a rematch against the Celtics. Had Kevin Garnett never gotten injured, we could have seen another series against the Celtics. We could have seen a rematch. So either could have been that, or what so many people have been waiting for years. They really want to see Kobe versus LeBron in the finals. However, none of those things played out. So, so the Eastern Conference champions end up being the Orlando Magic, led by Dwight Howard, where they, where they defeated where they defeated LeBron and the Cavs in a bit of an upset. Not a bit of an upset, a huge upset, especially because of the fact that because LeBron was the MVP that season, and so and so because of that, the top two players in the league at the time, you would think that a matchup was bound to happen, especially with them being compared with each other so much, and and things like that, and just constantly in the same conversations. However, uh, Dwight and Orlando, absolutely, really got pretty much shut down those plans altogether, and then, of course, this leads to the Lakers versus the Magic, and Orlando had no business being in the finals against the Lakers, much like how the New Jersey Nets had no business being in the finals against the Lakers, and Kobe was without question the undisputed league MVP. I mean, not league MVP, excuse me, undisputed finals MVP. And in fact, the very first game of that series was a statement because that first game, Kobe dropped 40, and so that first game really set the tone for the way the rest of this series was going to go, because it was just going to go nothing but downhill for the Magic, and so Kobe, this was a very important series for the Lakers, because this was Kobe's first championship without Shaq, and like I said, this, if anything, I'll say it like this: if anything, if nothing else, that to me that was the biggest historical significance for the series against Orlando, and fittingly enough, these are two teams that Shaq played for. The first two teams they ever played for. The Magic, that's where he first made his name as a star. The Lakers, the Lakers are the team that made him a legend. And so, and so let me slow down. And of course, his Finals MVP stats read as such: 32.4 points per game, 5.8 rebounds per game, 7.4 assists per game, 1.4 steals, and 1.4 blocks per game. It's like I say, and they just completely just manhandled the the Orlando Magic. And so of course the next season, was one. So sorry about that. And so of course the next season, was when the Lakers, sorry about that. The next season, was when the Lakers, really had to defend their title and show that that was not a fluke. And so of course, once again, they continue to be the number one seed in the West. Of course, yet again, of course, in the playoffs, the Lakers went through teams like the Nuggets, OKC Thunder, so on and so forth, eventually leading to the final rematch against the Boston Celtics. And Kobe, and of course, Kobe will go on to win Finals MVP, and he absolutely willed himself in that series, and so that series he averaged 28.6 points per game, 8 rebounds per game, and 3.9 assists per game. And and the thing about it was that game 7 was very critical, critical because even when his scoring was off that game, he found other ways to be effective. Like when it came to rebounds, when it came to defense, when it came to just playmaking in other areas. And so of course, even though he went 6 for 24 in Game 7, like I said, just because of his will to win, just because of the way he was able to make his team better in other areas, he would go on to win his second Finals MVP and his second championship without Shaq, and that was certainly his most satisfying win, and that was ultimate separation between him and Shaq. And so, if anything, that solidified his place as far as being greater than Shaquille O'Neal. And so it just goes to show that he was able to win 2 without Shaq, while Shaq was only able to win 1 without him. So that was the divider right there. And I'll say that this was sort of like the start of the end of his prime, because because this was the time where the changing of the guard would take place when it came to LeBron. And so of course the next season, The Lakers would get swept by the Mavericks, and then then after that, like I said, by that point, later on, um, Kobe still found a way to compete at a high level, even as his body started to break down. And the thing about it was, and of course, of course, um, he'll finish his career with, with that very last game of that last season of his career, we dropped 60 points against Utah. So but like I said, that was a great exclamation point on an absolutely incredible 20-year career. Even though those last few years were pretty tough to watch, just because of just the mounting injuries. Like I said, but Kobe was still a warrior. Kobe was still a perennial all-star. You know what I mean? And so like I said, I'll say Kobe's legacy is that he's the second greatest shooting guard of all time. He finished his career with 33,643 points, and like I said, it's just a prolific scorer. And regardless of what analytics say, Kobe was absolutely amazing. He was absolutely spectacular. When you look at when you look at eye test, when you look at resume, when you look at absolute skill, when you look at drive, work ethic, discipline, all these different type of things, all these different boxes that you have to check off. Kobe checked off all those boxes, and he inspired a whole new generation of players. And he certainly, and the thing is, Kobe, Kobe certainly, like I said, Kobe certainly passed the torch very, very well, and so and like I said, it's just, when you think about what Kobe means to a generation like myself, I witnessed Kobe's entire career. In fact, when Kobe first joined the NBA, that was that was the same year that that my family moved from DC to here in Prince George's County. And so, and like I said, if anything, I grew up on Kobe, so I witnessed his growth. I witnessed his, it almost felt like you grew up with him. Even though he was 11 years older than me, but at the same time, it was a part of me that just felt like you just grew up with him. You just watched his rise. You just watched him mature. And like I said, and especially in the wake of his tragic death, it's just still hard to really talk about him in a past tense, because he gave half his life, literally half his life, to the game. Gave 20 years of himself to LA, to the NBA, everything. And he didn't even get a chance to really enjoy all that. If anything, he was just scratching the surface, because he won an Oscar. He wrote best-selling books and things like that. You know what I mean? So, like I said, he was just scratching the surface. And just recently, I saw some clips on Instagram where they showed, where he showed like, his old like TV appearances, when he showed up on Sister, when he showed up on showed up on Moesha. And of course, he actually took Brandy to his prom, of course, at the time. Like I say, I remember he was on episode of Sister, Moesha, all that, even on episode of Proud Family. And to go back and watch that and just have them back and just always remember that he's not even here anymore. To go back and watch those episodes, watch those clips, and still have in your mind like he's in the past tense now. Still hard to comprehend. I remember where I was the day that happened, and I'd rather not, like, I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a prank. And then all the other outlets showed it, and in the NBA paid tribute, and wearing number 8 and 24 and stuff like that, doing all kind of tributes to him, tributes in basketball and in baseball, football, whatever, stuff like that, just everywhere. Soccer, you name it. It's just like the world just stood still, and 2020 was a year that we'll never forget, especially starting with the way it started off with that, and he will go on. On other note, he'll go on to the Hall of Fame, and even though he's no longer here, he was certainly the headliner, hands down, without question. And so, as far as Kobe's legacy, I would say that he was uh, the second greatest shooting guard of all time, one of the greatest Lakers, of all time. Probably number two all time. You know what I mean? But at the same time, he had a very strong case for being number one. Period. So if, whatever. But I want to go into my top eight. I'll say I want to go into my top eight Kobe seasons. Especially when you look at 20-year career, and in his honor, I want to do 8 because that was his original number. So here I'm gonna go from 8 to 1. Number 8, I'm gonna go with the 2001-2002 season, and of course that season he averaged 25.2 points per game. And of course that season he also went on to be NBA champion, win his third championship. And of course he also went on to become the All-Star Game MVP, and and he really set himself apart as like the top shooting guard of his era at that point. So that's number 8. And number 7, I'm gonna go with the 2006-2007 season, which is his first season, where number 24 we averaged 31.6 points per game, won the league scoring title for the second year in a row. Number 6, I'm gonna go with the 2007-2008 season. We won the MVP with 28.3 points per game, and he took the Lakers to the finals, where they ended up losing to the Celtics. That's why it's not number 5. In 2003 he averaged 30. That was his first season where he averaged 30 points per game. That was the first season where he really really became like sort of like truly became the man of that team. That's when the tide was starting to change. So he averaged 30 points per game, first time being the Lakers leader in scoring. So that's number 5. And number 4, I'm gonna go with the 2009-2010 season, which is when he won his 5th and final championship, averaging 27.4 points per game, became the champion, became the Finals MVP. And number 3, I'm gonna go with the 2000-2001 season, and of course that season, that season he averaged 28.5 points per game, and so of course 5.9 rebounds and 5 assists per game, and that's when he won his second straight championship. And like I said, that was like his maturation season, whatever. And number 2, I'm gonna go with the 2005-2006 season. We averaged 35.4 points per game and became the scoring leader. And of course, last but not least, number 1, I'm gonna go with the 2008-2009 season, where he averaged 26.8 points per game and he won his 4th championship and won Finals MVP, his first championship without Shaq. So those are my top 8 Kobe seasons. Mamba forever.